Former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are giving dueling speeches today.
The two GOP candidates are both speaking at two different conservative summits in Washington. Trump and DeSantis have been working to win over evangelical voters, but the former president is far ahead of the Florida governor in recent GOP primary polling.
CBS News political director Fin Gómez joins us now. Hi there, Fin. So with these speeches today, what is the relationship like right now between these two candidates?
In a word, I think politically it's acrimonious. I think you're seeing some shots fired by both in this past week, not only in Ron DeSantis' interview with Norah O'Donnell earlier this week, but also in some of Donald Trump's remarks towards the Florida governor. The two are clashing not only on the campaign trail, but also in these media interviews and also here in Washington, D.C. today. As you noted, Trump is headlining the Concerned Women for America's Leadership Summit. He's also speaking at the Family Research Council's Pray Vote Stand Summit in D.C. A number of different Republican candidates are also attending, including Ron DeSantis, who just spoke a little while ago. So it will be interesting to see what they have to say and how they contrast against themselves. Against each other. Donald Trump has been the front runner for most of this race. In most national polls, he has about a 40% lead amongst in comparison to the Florida Republican governor. But it will be interesting to see after today just how they make a push on several fronts, especially to the crucial evangelical vote.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Finn. What is DeSantis' strategy for winning over evangelicals, especially in Iowa?
Yeah, they're big. They're very crucial voting bloc in Iowa. And as you mentioned, he has been making a big push for the evangelical vote in Iowa. It's a crucial one. It's among Republican Iowa caucus voters. If you recall, in 2016 entrance polls, those are polls of caucus voters before they vote, found more than 2/3 of those caucus goers identified as evangelicals. So these faith voters have often been a major factor in who wins these caucuses amongst Republicans. DeSantis is launching a faith and family coalition. He's emphasizing that with a visit tomorrow in Iowa, where he will be talking about this coalition that includes over 24 Iowa pastors and over 70 faith leaders from across the country. There's even a new DeSantis ad on his faith that's airing. And this really, his supporters, his advisors see that there is a lane there where he can contrast and emphasize his faith to appeal to this crucial voting bloc, not only in Iowa and in South Carolina, two crucial early voting states, but really across the primary field.
So he's trying to carve out that lane. It's such a crowded field, though, Finn. How is it that other GOP candidates are trying to really distinguish themselves when it comes to appealing to those evangelical voters?
Elaine, you're absolutely right. And, former Vice President Mike Pence, Trump's former vice president, he has made a key component of his campaign form that very aspect of his candidacy is his faith, is his strategy to appeal to those same voters. And what they're focusing on, one of the biggest issues is the abortion issue, which is still a very significant one across the Republican field, and one that they're trying to get to the right of the frontrunner Donald Trump on, who has been criticized in some corners of the Republican Party for being somewhat politically soft on his position. And so what you're seeing and what you have been seeing, especially again in Iowa and South Carolina, is to really contrast and really say that they are stronger on that. And if they were president, they would implement more stringent, if you will, limits on abortion. And while Donald Trump has basically said that it should be decided by the state. So I think on that issue alone is really the main issue where they're trying to really have establish a wedge on their candidacies in contrast to the others.
All right. We know you'll be watching closely. Fin Gómez, CBS News political director. Fin, thanks so much.
Thank you.